So good morning, everyone. We are going to wait for folks to join and we will get started in just a couple of minutes. Thanks for being here. Still seeing people join, so I'm going to wait one more minute and then we'll get started. Okay, good morning. Welcome to Disability Rights Tennessee's celebration of Disability Employment Awareness Month and our webinar series. I am Lisa Primm, the Executive Director of Disability Rights Tennessee. My preferred pronouns are she and her, and I am a middle-aged, I guess you can still say middle-aged at 53, right? White woman with long wavy blonde hair. I'm wearing my signature purple glasses and kind of a rainbow scarf, and I'm speaking to you from in front of my old brick fireplace in my home. And today we are kicking off our webinar series with a panel of employers who will be sharing with us how we can maximize our workforces with inclusive employment. Now, next week, we will be doing another webinar where we'll be discussing DRT's employment services and programs and how we can assist people with disabilities in the workforce. So we really hope that you will join us next week, 1 week from today on the 21st. And before I introduce you to our incredible panel, I have a little bit of housekeeping to do. First of all, I want you to know that this session is being recorded, so you will be able to view it after today, and you'll be able to share it with your colleagues. Also, we are providing translation today in both Spanish and in American Sign Language. So if you need any assistance with this, or if you have any questions, or if you have any questions, even for the panelists, you can use our chat function throughout the event today to ask your questions. And then finally, if you will bear with me, I am going to run through our list of extraordinary sponsors and partners for this event and thank them for supporting us on all of our 2021 related employment events. So those sponsors include our two key collaborators, the Tennessee Department of Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities and the Tennessee Department of Education, and our advocate level sponsors, AmeriGroup, the Tennessee Department of Human Services Vocational Rehabilitation Services, United Healthcare, and We Go Public Transit. And then we're very grateful for additional support from Ernst & Young, First Horizon Foundation, Group Benefit Systems, the Mental Health Cooperative, St. John's Community Services, the Tennessee Council on Developmental Disabilities, the Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services, the Tennessee Disability Coalition, Cherry Becker, Dell Technologies, the Frist Center for Autism and Innovation, Nashville Electric Service, Vanderbilt Health, and VistaPoints. Okay, this great group of sponsors, also they supported our event in April. That was the Disability Employment Awareness Virtual Luncheon. And if you did miss that event, you can find the recording on our Disability Rights Tennessee YouTube channel. The webinar today and the one we'll be doing next week, they really build on that first presentation we did back in April. So if you didn't see it, we hope that you will check it out. All right, I am now thrilled to begin introducing our incredible panelists. We are so grateful to them for taking time out of their very busy schedules to share with us how they are maximizing their workforces through inclusive employment practices. So first I am going to introduce, and I think you'll see folks pop up on your video feed, David Quick. David is the Director of Operations, Government Programs for United Healthcare. He has been with UHC for 10 years. He manages over 700 navigators throughout the US. And these are the go-to team for their members' healthcare questions and concerns. And David's been in the customer service call center industry for 26 years. He's worked closely with state and local agencies, focusing on hiring individuals with disabilities and veterans. And as a US Air Force veteran himself and an individual with a disability who also has family members with disabilities, David is really passionate about providing employment opportunities for these communities' vast pools of talent. So thank you for being here, David. And then next up, I want to introduce Megan Hart. Megan serves as the Program Director of Tennessee Disability Pathfinder within the Vanderbilt Kennedy Center. And in her role, she's responsible for the daily operations and direction and development of Pathfinder. And if you don't know what Pathfinder is, it is a statewide information and referral assistance program. It includes an online clearinghouse of disability-related resources and a multilingual phone helpline. And Megan received her bachelor's in psychology at Sewanee University of the South and her master's in education and counseling at Vanderbilt University Peabody College. She has 19 years of experience in the disability field. More than 12 of those have been at Vanderbilt University Medical Center. Thank you so much, Megan, for joining us. And last, but certainly not least, I would like for you to meet Emily Cummings. Emily serves as the Ernst & Young Neurodiverse Center of Excellence Manager in Nashville. And in her role, she counsels 13 neurodivergent employees who live and work in Nashville. Emily began her work with EY in 2009 as an intern, and she has definitely grown with the company. She completed her master's in accounting at the University of Tennessee and has a CPA license in Tennessee. And prior to her current management role, she held several different positions within Ernst & Young, including working as tax staff and serving on their talent team. She also worked for several years with a SaaS company called Confirmation, where she led all the internal and external training initiatives, Big Four relationships, and prioritization of software development projects. So thank you, Emily, for joining us. So really thrilled to have all three of you here today. So we are just going to dig in, and we're going to start with a question that we often hear from a lot of companies about how to really get started on an inclusive employment journey. So the first question, and I'm going to ask it, each of these questions I'm going to ask of each of our panelists. So we're going to start, we'll go with David and then with Megan and then with Emily. And the first question is, if a business came to you and they said that they were interested in developing a more inclusive workforce and they just aren't sure where to start, what would you tell them?
Thank you, Lisa. And again, Dave Quick with United Healthcare. My pronouns are he and him, white male, maybe the oldest one on the call, but that's okay, right? Very short hair. I keep my military hairstyle with me since I've retired. And I'm in my home office in Northeast Tennessee. So glad to talk to everybody. Where should they start? How about right here? There are so many resources, and as I've talked to other businesses across the state, you know, it's not something you have to do alone. So as I've been doing this with United Healthcare for 10 years and then 15 years prior to that, it was really connecting with the partners in Northeast Tennessee. So my first one was the University of Tennessee Center for Literacy, Education, and Employment, Teresa Smith, and then several people with Bulk Rehab, the job centers here in Northeast Tennessee. So if you're interested in starting, I would say two things. Utilize those resources that are available for us at the local level or the state level. And then number two, try to find somebody that's done it before. So I can tell you, I've hit some roadblocks and detours. I've got through them. So I might be able to help as anybody on this call would, or anybody that's hired folks with disabilities can kind of tell you some of the challenges that'll help you navigate that process just a little bit easier.
Thank you, David. Appreciate that. We'll just go ahead and toss it to you, Megan.
Great, thank you. Megan Hart, and I am a middle-aged white woman. My pronouns are she and her. I have highlighted blonde hair that is rather short, about my chin length. I'm wearing a navy blue top today, and I have a virtual background that looks like a painted brick wall and has our Pathfinder logo in the corner. So I also happen to have a disability. I use a wheelchair, and I'm wearing a headset for communication. So in regards to the first question, I think it's important for a company to identify what the needs are for their employers, and what positions are available, and who is your audience, who are your constituents, and so how can your company diversify their employment to really better serve those constituents or their clients, because we want our employment to reflect those that we serve, so we can build relationships and really improve access to services based on those individuals that work with us. And I think that's what we have really seen to be a value within our organization at Tennessee Disability Pathfinder. The fact that we ourselves have personal connections to disability, such as myself, having a disability can truly relate to the needs of those that we serve. And then we have family members, caregivers that have that background and knowledge as well. So by doing that, and then determining, what the needs are for the positions, can really help you decide the best candidates for those positions. And something that, as individuals with disabilities don't want to hire someone just for the sake of diversifying the workforce. You want to make sure that that candidate has the skills, the knowledge, capabilities to really be a good fit for the position.
I really love that you talked about making sure that your staff represent the clients that you serve. I think we could talk about that. There's an intersection between disability and lots of other groups that we need to ensure that in the workplace. So I appreciate you mentioning that. And David, I want to tell you, I may come back to you later and talk to you and ask you, we'll see if it comes out naturally, but you talked about how you've overcome some challenges and some stumbling blocks. So if we have time later, I may come back to you on that. So let's go ahead and Emily, if you'd like to answer the same question, please.
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. I'm Emily. Very happy to be here today. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm wearing a tan top today with the big sweater neck thing around it. I guess you could call it that. I have long blonde hair, and I am currently sitting in my office at home today. I'm very happy to be here with everyone. I would echo a lot of comments that David and Megan identified here. I think one thing that we have found successful at EY is identifying an individual to lead this initiative or effort within your organization. We all know, just from a business perspective, if no one is owning a project or an initiative, then not a lot of movement happens on that. So I'm in my role focused on hiring individuals who are neurodivergent. And so in this space, it's very important for us to have people owning their roles and responsibilities, and also listening to our individuals that we do hire about what is important to them. I really like what Megan said. I think starting with understanding your workforce and what's important in this space to them is a really great avenue to start with. And then I'm going to leverage David's comment around asking other companies who are already in this space. I think this is really important. We do this often as a firm around talking to others and sharing what we learned. We don't want to keep it to ourselves. We want to share. And so I think it's really important to identify who's in your network that are other companies that you can call on and say, you know, what worked for you, what didn't, what challenges did you face, and what can you learn from them?
Excellent. So accurate. And it kind of segues to our next question, because I think people, this is one of the questions I think a lot of people would ask if they could pick up the phone and call one of you all. And it has to do really with the recruitment and interviewing process, the actual hiring process itself. And so my question is, at each of your different companies, are there specific things that you do to ensure that you have a more inclusive and equitable hiring process specifically? So again, I'm going to go back to David.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we're very deliberate about it. And when Megan was talking about, a talent pool that truly represents the customers, or in our case, the members we serve, the folks that we've hired are serving our Medicaid and Medicare population. A lot of the folks in this talent pool have been there. So it allows us the opportunity to hire folks that can really relate to our members when they call in and help them navigate the healthcare system. It's a lot of planning. When we talk about practices, I think communication is key. So you want that buy-in. So you have to educate your organization, whether it's a line of business, the company as a whole. What are you doing? Why are you doing it? And make sure they understand the benefits of it, that Megan and Emily have both talked about. So it's really important that you have everybody on board, and everybody understands there's going to be nuances. So when I first started, I'll give you a lesson learned real quick, Lisa, is having a passion for it and just wanting to go full speed. And then I had to pull myself back, and I'm like, okay, I've got to make sure our talent acquisition folks are on board and they understand this is going to be a little bit different. My supervisors and managers that are doing interviewing skills, and especially in a remote environment, it's going to be a little bit different, and you need to be prepared for that. So it's really having all those folks training and development. If we have a standard, 8-week training program, maybe it needs to be 9 weeks, and maybe some of the things within that training. So, as you're bringing these folks on board, as you're really looking, make sure people understand why you're doing it, and make sure that all the pieces of the puzzle understand, how we're going to get to our ultimate goal of really hiring this talent pool to make your organization stronger.
Thanks, David. I'm going to go to Megan next.
Yes, so for those of you who don't know, Tennessee Disability Pathfinder is a program with the Vanderbilt Kennedy Center, which means we are affiliated with the Vanderbilt University Medical Center. So We don't have a lot of control in terms of the overall HR process from the medical center standpoint. But I will say that recently we have developed an employee resource group within the medical center for individuals or employees with disabilities and allies. And we're using that opportunity as a group to really work with the HR department to say, okay, what is available to support candidates with disabilities, and how can we provide recommendations for improving that process. So that's a relatively new initiative that we hope will have an impact on the hiring process within the medical center. But me as a manager, when I consider hiring someone, I alluded to this in my first answer, but really looking at the qualifications and the experience of each person and what they offer to the position. Sometimes personal experience could be more meaningful than educational experience, depending on the position. And certain skills should be considered specific to the position. So really looking at each candidate and determining the fit for which they are applying for the position, I think is the most important thing to consider when throughout the hiring process, and to make it as accessible as possible for all types of different disabilities. And perhaps, I know we can't specifically ask about disability, but you can certainly ask about accommodations. So if you are considering someone for an interview, asking, will you need any type of accommodations prior to the interview, things like that. Just a little bit of forethought and consideration, I think could always be appreciated from the candidate perspective. Well,
I love that you mentioned accessibility and making sure that we ask people, are there any accommodations that would help you be successful in the interview? I think that's something that perhaps we haven't always done in our agency, and I think it's really important. Sometimes we know that someone needs an accommodation, but oftentimes we don't, and if we don't ask, then, and you're right, we can't ask about disability, but I think it's really smart to ask about how we can help them be successful in the interview itself. So Emily, would you like to take a stab at this same one?
Absolutely. So again, my response is really in my role focus in the neurodivergent population. However, I did want to mention some specific things that we have done. We have changed. We have said, hey, EY, we love your talent and recruiting process, but we're going to do it differently. And so we have specifically changed our process to be more focused in accommodating our population. And so we actually do not host any behavioral style interviews, period, in our process. We have nixed that completely. We have actually created skill set exercises for the role that is required to assess their talent and their skill. And so our whole mindset around hiring our individuals is, what is their skill set? How can we assess their skill set, and keeping that lens? And this has resulted in a lot of hands-on exercises. Some we physically email them, some we do in a virtual scenario situation that we might play out that. But I would really challenge all companies to think about, how can you assess the skill in the recruiting process and create an environment that allows you to focus solely on that and kind of eliminates unconscious bias, eliminates some of the social culture that is required or that is unspoken of in interviews that we don't talk about. And so that would be my challenge for everyone as they look at their hiring processes. It does take some effort, but once you do it once and you get it down, it's actually wildly successful and you actually really hire a lot better because you're assessing skill.
I love that you mentioned unconscious bias. That was great. Thank you. You guys all are adding so much to this conversation. And I do have one little follow-up question, and it wasn't something we prepped you all for, but I'm wondering, I'm thinking about businesses who may be out there watching this or will be watching it later, and they're thinking, well, where do I find, how do I reach out and find a person with a disability who might be a good fit for, I know what kind of skills we're looking for. How do I find individuals? And I wonder if any of the three of you might want to give a suggestion to a business about how they might reach out and find those candidates.
I have one suggestion that just popped in my mind, and that is that universities and colleges have disability services offices or accessibility offices. They kind of all have their own term sometimes, but they're the ones in which students with disabilities often seek accommodations. So they know the students who often have disabilities, and they could be a great resource for graduates or for current students to have employment. So that's one thing. Also, vocational rehabilitation, another source.
Do I get a bonus point? I'm sorry. Do I get a bonus point if I say Disability Rights Tennessee? Be a good place to go. There's so many places, and like Megan was saying, I want to give a shout out again, University of Tennessee Center for Literacy, Education, and Employment. They've been phenomenal for me, literally for 20 years. Voc Rehab, just get in touch with your local American Job Center, Department of Labor, because there's people there that are going to be able to connect the dots for you and be able to help you find that talent pool that's actively looking for employment and will end up being incredible employees for you.
Thank you all so much. So I think actually maybe it was Megan, maybe it was Emily, I'm not sure who started already talking about accommodations, mentioned the word accommodations. Our next question is really about that if you have an employee who needs some type of supports in order to be successful in the workplace, but really doesn't know what might be available and how to ask for an accommodation or what kind of an accommodation might work for them. How do you all support those individuals in making that happen and accessing that kind of an arrangement? So I'll toss it to David first.
Thank you. Yeah, and to Megan's point, we try to find out up front, right off the bat. The earlier we know, the better we can set that individual up for success and make sure they have what they need when training starts. This talent pool sometimes are reluctant to do that because they think an employer is going to exclude them from consideration because they need an accommodation. But most companies, I don't think are that way anymore. United Healthcare, for example, we're going to figure out how we can make an accommodation happen for anybody. And then, through our coaching process, and we're big on coaching, we measure everything. We're one of those companies that measure everything. So we can kind of, watch the data. And if somebody is starting to decline in a certain area, we can have that conversation and we can say, hey, is there something you don't understand? Is there something you need? Is there something that would make it easier for you to be able to do this job? So, we had an individual, what we call after work time, after the phone call is over, was taking a little bit longer, found out because her disability, we got her Dragon dictation software, so now she can just speak into it, it's there. She feels better. So now we've got a better, more confident employee That's the bottom line. And oh, guess what? She's more efficient as well. So it's a win-win for the individual and the business both.
Yeah, I love that. There's certainly a lot of high-tech resolutions, but also low-tech. And so I appreciate that as one story. Megan, you want to go ahead and answer the same question?
Yes. So I'm going to have to do a shameless plug for Tennessee Disability Pathfinder, because we have a lot of resources available for employees and employers. Sometimes it's a website. Other times we can connect you to another agency that can provide such guidance and resources. So we are a great resource for those types of questions. But kind of along the lines of what David was saying, kind of what would make your job easier or help you to overcome some potential barriers or challenges, and kind of fill in the blank to determine what those accommodations may be. And as you were saying, Lisa, sometimes it's high tech, sometimes it's low tech, and I think employers need to keep that in mind as well, because I think there's some misperceptions sometimes when you have a candidate or potential employee who has a disability, and you think, oh gosh, what's it going to take for me to accommodate this person? Do we have it in our budget? And will they be efficient? Are they going to perform at the same level as another employee who doesn't have a disability? And oftentimes with the accommodations, that the answer is, they can certainly do all that, and sometimes even more based on their qualifications. So going back to the employee, not knowing where to start, I think identify what the needs are, and then helping to determine what resources are available to meet those needs would be a good place.
Thanks. I'm so glad that you talked about that, because I really do think that there are potential employers out there who are afraid. They're not sure what a reasonable accommodation is, and they may overlook a candidate that would be so fantastic because of that fear. And so, yes, there are a lot of resources. I'll even plug our own Disability Rights Tennessee. And when you come next week to our next webinar, we're going to talk about some of the services that we provide to help people who are maybe having some of those barriers to employment. And sometimes those barriers are because of fear. And I really appreciate you sort of identifying that. I know we've got a lot of folks out there right now who are listening, and if that is a common feeling, you are not alone, and that is something that your peers are happy to talk to you about and tell you it's really not scary. No one's going to ask you to spend $1 million. There are lots and lots of accommodations that you can use to help a person be successful and take advantage of this great talent pool. Okay, sorry, I'm not supposed to be the speaker, but I had to get that in there. Emily, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that is great. I've definitely seen the same in terms of employers feeling a little scared around what the accommodation process might look like. From an employee perspective, my team, and I just share from my experience, this is some of their first jobs. So I find a lot of my employees are, they have their own barriers to even know what they might need in the workplace, to know how to ask for that. If they ask for it, is that going to hurt their employment? And so all of those fears that they carry, I hate that this is maybe it's both simple and complex, but it's really important for me as their manager to build what I call psychological safety and conversations to where they can come to me and we can have a conversation around what they are experiencing, and not putting it, for my population, not all on them. They don't know. And so sometimes it's me listening and trying to help them identify what they need. So my suggestion around how to support employees through accommodation process is really just through conversation and building a rapport and trust with them. And maybe that's just my population. This is some of their first jobs and they're trying to navigate this for the first time. But Lisa, I did want to add a little bit on the employer side. Accommodations that we have given at EY are honestly 95% of the time really low cost, whether it's dictation software, noise canceling headphones, a different place to work, a safer place to work that doesn't have light coming in and distracting them. And so all of that is really assessed through a conversation with the employee that can take a lot of trust building to get there if they have some fear around it. So I'll pause there. I won't go too long.
No, that was fabulous. This is what we wanted to do today, is really get into the nitty gritty and give people examples. And I think one population we haven't talked about also is individuals who may have mental health issues. And there can be accommodations for that population that are absolutely of no cost to an employer, just allowing a person maybe to be able to go and have therapy at a certain time that they need to get to their appointments or things like that. So I think when we talk about this, it sounds like this big, like, accommodations can be a scary word, but I really, really appreciate you guys giving very specific examples and for different populations. And I liked your term psychological safety when you're asking people what they need. They need to know that it's safe to ask. And we all need to have workplaces where people know it is safe to ask for what they need. I think we're living in a time where, recruitment and retention are so important. We know that it's a little different time than it used to be, and you want to retain really good employees too. So I think being accessible like you are is absolutely perfect. So thank you. All right, so this next question is where you guys get to brag. We just want to ask whether there are some additional specific things you do at your agencies to help the people who have disabilities who work there be successful in their jobs. So again, any kind of specifics that you might want to share, we would be really grateful to hear those, and we will go back to David.
Thank you. Yeah, and the first thing I'll say about accommodations, and Megan and Emily hit on it, I can show you a return on investment. So even if you have to spend money, what you're going to get in retention is going to more than pay for anything that you invest. Because if these folks are given an opportunity, they're going to be with you for a long time. And, so it's worth it. So a couple things have already been mentioned when we talk about, headsets, for example. So I can't use a dual headset. I need a single headset. Not a big deal. Easy to accommodate. Amplified headsets for people that have hearing impairment. We're talking, they just literally a few dollars more than what you're already buying for them. The Dragon dictation software, we've utilized that as well. I have one individual set up on a CapTel phone, so she can, read what's going on. A larger monitor, so unfortunately right now my hires can't accommodate JAWS software, but people that have other, limited visibility, we can do Zoom text. I had one individual say, can I get a larger monitor? And I'm like, how big do you want? A 40-inch monitor. I'm like, okay, let's do it. It's going to help you see the screen, see the information better, make you more productive. Not a problem at all. The free stuff you talk about, the low-tech stuff, if you will, additional breaks. So we're hiring people that are customer service representatives, and some folks think, okay, you're sitting at your desk, for an hour, that can't be too tough, but for some folks it is. So we do additional breaks in the morning. We can do additional breaks in the afternoon. I had one individual say, hey, can I work 4 hours, then take 2 hours off and then finish? Sure, why not? So it's things like that you can do that really help these folks be better employees that don't take a penny out of your pocket. And then, of course, you talk about appointments. And that's another thing. I think this talent pool, sometimes they'll get into a job, they have appointments they have to go to, and then the employer, is like, oh, you're gone an awful lot of the time. You know what? That's okay. We can work around that. And again, it's going to build that loyalty. It's going to build performance. And then our members that they're interacting with have a better relationship as well. So it's a win-win. Is it a little different than what you might normally do? Sure it is. But it's time to think outside the box and ask yourself, why not? Why not accommodate something like that if you can still complete the mission?
I love it. Hashtag why not? That's going to be our new campaign.
Yeah.
I love this. Okay, let's give Megan an opportunity to brag about things they are doing at Pathfinder.
Yeah, so I'm going to speak first about myself as an employee with a disability, because I have been very fortunate to work with different organizations that have always been very supportive and providing me the accommodations that I need. And that's certainly no exception to the Kennedy Center Vanderbilt. So I mentioned that I'm currently wearing a headset. And one thing pretty common now, it's definitely a virtual world that we're in, but even the office, I used it for the telephone. And also, but one thing that I was specific in needing is that it has to be wireless, because I like to roam around the offices while keeping the headset on throughout the day. And therefore, I cannot be tethered to the computer. I use a trackball mouse because a traditional mouse does not work well for me to manipulate the computer. Again, this is bought off the shelf. Anybody can have access to this type of mouse. Nothing special, but it does allow me to have the appropriate functions for the buttons to use. I use something specific to having the disability, so I'm quadriplegic, and I use a mouse stick for the computer. I'm very old-fashioned. You can tell I have not graduated to the voice dictation, just because I'm so used to using the mouse stick. So that's another accommodation that my employer has provided. Another thing that's very common for a lot of people to use, and that's paper holders next to the computer, so I can refer to documents. Again, anybody could have access to that type of accommodation. And I do prefer to use a laptop versus a desktop just for space purposes. Again, a lot of people have that preference as well. So those are some things that I find that make my job easier. The last thing I'll mention is that when we continue to work virtually, but when I am in the office, I do have a personal printer at my desk, whereas other employees use a group printer just because I can't access the large printer in the office. So, but in terms of other members of my team, kind of what David was speaking about, flexibility and schedule is mainly the most important accommodation that I think benefits some of my team members for appointments and other purposes associated with either their own situation or perhaps family member with a disability as well. So I think just having an open mind and willingness to work with each employee to determine what specific needs they have and willing to make those adjustments as needed for accommodations.
Thank you, Megan. Emily.
Yeah, so I'll touch on something that hasn't been said here as one thing that EY does. So while I sit and live in Nashville, Tennessee, and I do manage our Neurodiverse Center of Excellence here. We have 6 locations across the U.S. So we have about 85 people on our team. I'm just one location. And when we started our journey, we really found that the external job coaching provided by Voc Rehabs in various states was extremely helpful. And so we decided internally to hire internal coaches to provide our people an avenue to help navigate, quite honestly, I'm going to be really transparent here, the institutional issues that we have at EY. It's sometimes more institutional red tape or policies that we have that prevent any barriers around our people. And so we wanted to provide extra coaching to help our team members be able to navigate that if they want to. It is not required. It's an option out there for our teams to have an internal coach, but they function, if you're familiar with Voc Rehab, which I think a lot of people are, they function similar in that space as an external job coach would. And it's been very successful. So how to navigate calls, maybe you have a call with a leader, or how to navigate priorities for projects, things like that might come up as you do your work. This person is here with tips and trained around this space to coach them in their career.
As I'm listening to all of you, I'm thinking about something I've heard before around just inclusive design. Inclusive programming is really benefiting everyone, and how some of the things you're talking about, coaching or flexibility in the workplace, or a bigger monitor, or all of these things. And there are employees across the board who benefit from this. And so it shouldn't be the exception that we tailor work environments and to make people successful, but that it's available for everyone, right? Because inclusive design is for everyone. And I think these are such great examples. We have one more question, and it's my favorite question today. And it's really about, I hear from people all of the time who had never employed people with disabilities, and then they did. And they talk about the benefits and why didn't we do this sooner? And so what I would like for you all to share is, what are some of the biggest benefits you've seen in your agencies since you started to have a more inclusive workforce? Oh, David.
Yeah, I think the first thing I want to talk about is this talent pool is typically so grateful to have an opportunity to really showcase their skills, talents, and abilities. And for most of them, that's all they're looking for, is that opportunity, to be able to prove that they can be valuable in the workforce. I think there's a level of compassion with this talent pool as well. So when I look at United Healthcare specifically, and they're doing both inbound and outbound calls with members, again, that have Medicaid, Medicare, that they can relate to it. So some folks in previous jobs, would say, hey, I don't know why these people are upset or complaining. They're getting free medical, they should be happy. And guess what? Most of those people don't want free medical. They would just, they would rather be employed and, taking care of it. But because their situation, and in a lot of this talent pool, they've been there before. And they've struggled. They've struggled to be heard. They've struggled to be seen. They've struggled to be employed. And now that they're there, I think that level of compassion is just something that you just can't put a price on. And then with that comes retention that I mentioned earlier. To this day, I can be out in the community, and somebody will come up that I hired 10 years ago, prior to coming to United Healthcare, and they're still thanking me. And I'm like, no, thank you. Because they provide so much to our organization, any organization that I've hired folks for. And, a lot of times they think that, we owe them, but the reality is, or they owe us, but we owe them because, they're just incredible talent pool. So, you know, the biggest benefit I think is that they truly care and they have a level of compassion. I think that's second to none.
Thanks so much. Megan?
I would agree with what David said completely. The passion that I've seen from the individuals on my team and then others working in the field of disability, who have disabilities themselves, really be able to relate to others and the mission, the work that we do, I think really makes a difference. The dedication and being able to relate to those that we serve. As I mentioned earlier, having our team or staff reflect the individuals that we serve, I think is really important. We're able to build those relationships, make connections, and identify with the needs of those that we serve. And therefore, we're more successful in supporting them for them to be able to find the services and resources that they need. So I think really having that diverse perspective is really important. Also, not only for those that we serve, but internally as well, so that we make sure that we're continuing to develop, evolve, improve based on the various perspectives of our team members. Obviously, today's focus is on disabilities, but you can look at all different intersectionalities of that that I think need to be taken into consideration as well. So the more diverse an organization can be, the better, I think.
I love that. Yeah, it's definitely not a stretch to say that the more diverse, I think the more productive, the more compassionate, the more passionate, the more everything. I 100% agree with everything that both of you have said. Emily, what about at EY? There's some things that you would like to share about how things have changed, or what has made EY better since you have started being more diverse in your workforce?
Yeah, I would say I would just maybe echo Megan's thoughts here. I think we've seen a tangible betterment in our business. And, you know, I think that is really important to call out around the diverse thought and the diverse talent. The better we are at hiring around skill set, the better we are about aligning the people who come into the right role. And the more we're focused on deploying the talents that each individual brings, the better our business performs. And so there is a very strong correlation to the business. We actually are individuals just in the NCOE are focused in software development, and it's a talent war out there for software development right now for good people. And they're, you know, the individuals we've hired are extremely brilliant and have tangibly built things not only internally for the firm, but externally for clients that have just been phenomenal. So there's a lot of examples around it being directly relatable to the business performance. And I think that's really important for companies to hear and know that is a benefit.
Yeah, I think you just hit on something that in the talent market is fierce right now. And this is a relatively untapped pool of candidates. And so I think that's really important. I'm glad you mentioned that. So we do have about 5 minutes left. And I don't know if, I haven't been watching the chat, so I don't know if anybody has posted any questions in the chat. I'm going to ask my colleague, Lynette Overton, if anybody has. If there isn't a question in the chat and you have a question, this is your opportunity to ask it. I had the advantage of seeing the registration list before the event, so I know that we have a lot of businesses here. We have a ton of people from libraries, so shout out to our library staff across the state. But I don't know if we have a question queued up or if anybody has one now. Lynette, are you able to let me know?
I am. We do not have anything listed yet.
Okay, so I'll pause for just a second and see if anybody has anything before I maybe give you back 4 minutes of your day. Nothing coming in, Lynette?
Nothing yet.
Okay. I realized I'm not going to put you on the spot. I probably should have added a question and asked you to tell me your favorite story about how hiring a person with a disability has impacted you and the work of your agency, but I know we don't have enough time for that. So maybe next time. I know that we're planning to continue this. So that's going to be my teaser, that I'd love to share some of those success stories. And maybe we can even do that in a written form, because I know people would really like to hear some of those. So I just want to say thank you to David and Megan and Emily for sharing with us. Again, I know that at Disability Rights Tennessee, we feel like the more we diversify our own workforce, the more creative and innovative and productive our entire agency is. And I am so grateful to all of you for sharing your insights and tools with us as we all continue to grow and learn together on this issue. And I wanted everyone to know that we will share this video in an upcoming email. So I hope you will share it with your colleagues and revisit it yourselves as you continue your work to expand your inclusive employment and maximize your workforces. And then just a reminder that we're keeping the momentum going. And 1 week from today on the 21st, there'll be another webinar about DRT's employment services. And so we hope you'll all join us for that. And as always, please stay connected with Disability Rights Tennessee, either by signing up for our monthly newsletter or following us on social media. So thank you to everyone. Thank you to our sign language and Spanish interpreters. Thank you to our panelists. Thank you to the amazing communications staff who helped pull this event off. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.